Right, we're here with Joey Tempest of Europe to talk about the new album Bag of Bones.
Yeah.
And we're going to try and do a quick track-by-track run-through. So first track, Joey, Riches to Rags. Quite interesting, the lyrics on that one. This is the sound of us falling apart. This is the sound of us digging our graves. What's that all about?
Yeah, it was a moment when I was starting to write this record where I felt like I want to bury the past, bury everything. I was tired of it. Let's just move on, guys. It's just it was just a feeling, an attitude song. And actually, for a while, it was meant to scare people away, this track.
Really?
I thought I was on to something. Okay, let's stir things up. It was that kind of track. But then it started to become pretty good. So it was sort of a strong attitude song, which turned into one of my favorites now on the record. It's going to be great to play live. It means a lot to me, this one. Cool.
Yeah. So it's a powerful opener, and then we've got the next one, which is kind of a little bit autobiographical, I guess, not close to Sing the Blues, because you say at the start of it, born in 63, and you were born in 63, weren't you? In August.
Yeah.
I heard in the shadow of Kennedy or something?
Yeah, I heard this artist a long time ago who gave away their age in the first line. Maybe it wasn't even in the first line. I thought, I'll do one more, I'll do it in the first line. And I wanted to do it to get people to think about their own influences all the time. The song is a complete tribute to classic rock and our lives in the rock world and the way what we've heard through our lives and what has changed our lives. I make reference to, as you said, Kennedy, of course, but it was more people like Jimmy Page come from Surrey and forming Led Zeppelin and turning the whole music world upside down. It's more about Malcolm and Angus Young, doing AC/DC and just changing all our lives. It was those moments, and always Elvis as well. I sing Heartbreak Hotel in one of the sentences, and it feels like that. There's certain people that were not supposed to do certain things, but they did it, and they changed all our lives. So it's a tribute like that.
Yeah. Have you had that criticism that you were born a little bit too late to sing the blues? Has people said that to you?
Not in particular. I think you could take the sentence. The sentence could have a broader meaning as well, not just singing the blues. Yeah. But I suppose it can work for us as well. I don't know if this is a record that we were maybe not supposed to do. We forgot we were Swedish. I mean, we were in no man's land. We used all our experiences, ups and downs through our career and created this record that is alive, much more than the other records that in my view, and we managed to do it somehow. And it surprised even us. Mm-hmm. So here we are with a record that we really love, and it's similar to the earlier records that we loved by Deep Purple or Led Zeppelin, for instance. Even before we got into Lizzie and UFO and all that, there was something else before. Walking around in the afternoons, listening to Black Dog, just as kids, and just thinking, oh, what is this? This is our lives. Maybe this could be our future.
Then we have a track called Firebox, which is a pretty straightforward rocker, or am I perhaps... I'm going to leave the subject matter a secret a bit longer, I think. But no, it's a curveball, because the album was becoming this classic rock, blues sort of thing, and then Mick all of a sudden sends me this riff, and it's and I'm like, I go crazy. I go on the phone. This is fantastic, because it sort of lifted the whole thing again. It's more majestic. It's more maybe older Europe in a different way. I love the track, and it's like a journey. It's like Last Good Eden or those majestic journeys you go on. Firebox is important for the album. Otherwise, it would have been more of a melancholic thing. That sort of lifts it. Gives it a bit of a boost.
It's great.
Yeah. So then we have the title track, Bag of Bones. We've got Joe Bonamassa on that particular track on slide guitar.
Yeah, we're honoured that John would play slide on Bag of Bones. We met him now. He came up on stage and played with us about a year and a half ago, and great guy. So it was easier than to ask. We asked through Kevin because obviously they know each other.
Yeah. And then you said it had a slightly melancholic theme developing, and this one's got slightly melancholic lyrics, isn't it? I was having the time of my life, now I'm a bag of bones.
Yeah, this was more of a melancholic, dark moment where I started writing the album. I was a bit sort of tired from the last Look at Eden 1.5 year tour, and we set a deadline to go into the studio, and I rent this place in Shepherd's Bush, and I go into this dark room. I brought a guitar with me, plugged it in the Marshall, and there was a mirror there, and I just looked, what the hell am I going to write about? What am I going to do? We had Doghouse in the bag, but nothing else. Yeah. So I'm like, I just feel like a bag of bones. It started coming like a nursery rhyme. Bag of bones, I'm a bag of bones. Just tapping my foot, and then just hitting the E like that. Bag of bones, I'm a bag. And then it started building. And I played on the feeling how I felt. I feel a bit tired, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But at the same time, the London riots happen, and hence the lyric in the chorus, "My city lies in ruins." And then
and I'm sifting through the rubble.
Yeah, I'm sifting through the rubble. Yeah. How did it come this late? How did it get this late? So that comes into that song, and that song is now a journey. It's like to me, it's like whoa. Yeah. But it's also the title track. It's got a really nice classic rock feel to it.
Yeah. And shortly after, it's a very, very brief instrumental called Requiem.
Yeah. That came about just out of nowhere in the studio. We were recording My Woman, My Friend, which is the later track.
That's my favourite track.
Yeah.
The next one, yeah.
And just after that, Mick is still by the piano, just playing this morose, depressing thing. And we all, what's that, Mick? It's just playing it right now. He said, let's do something. I said, Kevin, I've already said to Kevin, record everything between songs, record everything we do. So Kevin, he knows that, all right, I know that, I always do that. Kevin, he's been in the game. So he get this down and we listen back to it. Let's do something, let's do it short. And it was actually called, this is kind of strange, but it was called Requiem for the 80s for a while. Because we felt we were in this 70s studio, we were with Kevin, we were moving onwards again, doing something new with the band. And it felt like the 80s were further and further away from what we were doing. Yeah. But we dropped that title. It's called Requiem only. And it was going to be moved, that intro, but we kept it in its original place before My Woman, My Friend. And it sets the mood really well for a spiritual, heavy love song, if you like.
Yeah, that is a great track, I think, the following track, My Woman, My Friend,
It's got, My Woman, My Friend, it's got that, it's got a spiritual thing. At the same time, it's a heavy rock track. But it's got a tender lyric, I think, about relationships and weaved into this heavy track. It's kind of it's a nice thing. It developed lyrically in the studio. I remember, must be some kind of miracle. I just threw that line out there and Kevin said, use that more times. So it's sort of one of those things, and it's a good track.
Then we have Demon Head, which... I guess it's something we occasionally wake up with in the morning.
Yeah, the guys, they have dirty minds, so they obviously think this is some sort of male organ or something, Demon Head. But it's a fun track because it takes me back to some of the early Purple tunes. It's like that, that feeling of a straightforward 70s rock track, up-tempo, with a great verse melody and a big chorus, and I really like that track, and I hope we put that in the live set. It's one of my favourites. That's
funny you should mention that. It never before popped up my iPod this morning on the way into work on the train. And I haven't heard that for years. Deep Purple's never before.
Yeah, sure.
Thought, what a great track that is. Yeah. It's just so memorable,
This album goes back to before our influences with Lizzy and UFO and all that. This goes back to the Purple and the Led Zeppelin era, where you just get influenced so much when you're young, and that sticks with you. It's like DNA.
Yeah.
And it came out subconsciously on this record.
Yes. We're talking about Zeppelin, Drinking a Smile. That kind of has a bit of a gallows pole feel to me.
Yeah, that was the idea.
Bit of Zepp 3 feel, yeah?
I called the guys very late in the game. Everything was almost... Kevin was already mixing in LA. And I said, I think we're missing a song. And they were like, Joey, you're crazy. I had this blind faith that in ideas. And sometimes they hold me back, but sometimes they let me do things as well. So they said, all right, you're crazy, but let's give it a go. So we had this idea. I had this sort of melody thing. Mick had played a mandolin. We met up and we did something really sketchy, quick, and then the other guys filled in, and we did it really quickly. We wanted it to be like an old Led Zeppelin stomper. I wanted my vocals through a Leslie Leslie effect on it. I told Kevin, put some Leslie effects on the vocal, make it just like a fun acoustic track that we can use live maybe. Maybe we can bring down the show in the middle and start and do something like that. So that was the thought behind it. And we needed something like that on the album. We hadn't gone acoustic on the album, so but it was a 70s album, so it didn't make sense not to have something like that. So that's why we threw it in the last minute. And it turned out it's a fun track, you know.
Yeah. And the next track is called Doghouse, which once again is something we've all been in our lives.
Yeah, my wife thinks that song is very funny because I am always in the doghouse. Most men are, I think, and it was just great. It was great fun writing that lyric, and we tried that on the road for a while, and it stood the test of time when we toured. So we said, let's try it in the studio. So with Kevin, that was the first song we tried. So we introduced this to Kevin. We thought, we know it so well, we played it a year on the road. Obviously, he goes and says, I think we should change it a bit. That threw us. That was the first day.
Yes.
Because we were so locked in the one way of playing it, but he had he wanted to be more on the floor, more straight, and it worked out better, so it was a good idea. But that was the first song we recorded for the album.
And the penultimate track is Mercy You, Mercy Me, which I kind of interpreted as being quite a sort of an empowering track. Don't let them grind you down sort of track.
It is a bit
Is that
like
true?
That.
Yeah.
I remember going to that rehearsal place in Shepherd's Bush, and sometimes I ended up going home late at night, and I saw people from all walks of life, and I started thinking, you gotta lift your heart from the streets, and take only what you need with you, and lift your head and heart's a spiritual thing. It was more of a spiritual thing, but it was built typical John Norum riff. He sent it to me. It's like, yes, I love these riffs.
Very heavy
detuned heavy riffs. I love it, and it's nice to just do a soaring vocal on it, and it's a great rock track. Yeah.
And the final track is Bring It All Home, which is a ballad for a closer, isn't it?
Yeah.
A real light as in the air job. I can imagine you closing the show with that.
Actually, the bizarre thing with that song is the idea in my head is that is the last song and the last Europe gig. It's the closing song of all closing songs.
Right, on your
That's
final
the idea.
gig.
Yeah, the final gig, the final song, whether we play it or whether it's in the PA, that will be the song. That was the whole idea. And I came up with the idea when I saw The Last Waltz, Martin Scorsese's film about the last gig with the band. And it was a great film, and I was watching it, and I getting this idea about writing this song that we should use as the very last song being played. And it's a thank you to the whole genre of rock. It's a thank you to the fans. It's thank you to the band. It's a bit sort of melancholic like that, but I love that idea. But it's done in a very relaxed way. So it's just happened. It's actually an old idea. There's two ideas on this album that are old. Bring It On Home was done same time in San Francisco when we wrote for Prisoners in Paradise. It was just a jam me and Mick had. Same time we did New Love in Town for the last album. And actually, my friend, is an old melody structure I've had for years and years. And John Levin sent me the riff, so I put them all together. But those two are the only ones that are coming from the past.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Joey. That's your handy cut out and keep guide to Bag of Bones, which is out on April the 30th.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
End of April, Bag of Bones.
Superb. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.